Greetings and very good afternoon to all of you. A formal warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Ahmedabad Management Association. Also welcome all the participants who are on YouTube live right now. Just as a brief for your information, AMA is a happening place. We do a lot of activities, training programs, seminar, conferences on a various topics, right? Do visit amaorg.com. It's a very live site. Now, coming to the seminar, I think before seminar, thank you, Padmin Bhai. I read chat box. This is the most appropriate day, Teachers' Day, for AMA webinar on this theme. You are right, Padmin Bhai. So thank you, Padmin Bhai. Now, coming to today's webinar, challenges for academics and training. In the context of theme, the challenging side is skill gap in India, which is alarming. Even relevant education courses and training, there is a need to address the gap of unemployment. And this is the expectation from all of us across. But positive side also is Atmanirbhar Bharat mission and launch of a national education policy, NEP 2020. So this is a balance, and we will have a good webinar today. So let me inform you before we start this webinar. Just to all of you, some do's and don'ts. If you have any question, just park it. Later we can have a Q&A session and you can put it on the chat box. And now I will come to introduction part of our speaker. So first I will introduce Dr. Naveen Seth. Dr. Naveen Seth is a Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Technological University since 31st December 2016. He is a renowned educationist and administrator. Dr. Naveen started his academic career way back in 1979. And during the course of time, he emerged as a tireless academician and a herbal scientist. He is B.Pharm, M.Pharm, and he is having a PhD degree from Saurashtra University, Rajkot. He is a great person in academics, efficient administrator. He has also served as member and chairman of various committee of UGC, AICTE, DST, GUJ, COST, and several universities in India. He had been the advisor and later on member of GPSC. Dr. Seth has attended many national and international conferences in India and abroad. His research interests include traditional drugs, herbal drugs, and standardization. His extraordinary involvement in R&D has been recognized by 100+ publications, including 65 technical papers in a renowned research journals, and 42 papers in a national conference, 21 papers in an international conference. Till date, 28 research scholars had successfully completed their doctoral research under his guidance. And at present, 4 research scholars are pursuing their PhD under his supervision. Dr. Seth is awarded by Lifetime Achievement Award at KLE University, Karnataka. He has a Lifetime Achievement Award at World Education Convention 2017 at New Delhi. Even Swami Vivekananda Excellence Award by Indian Institute of Oriental Heritage in March 2019. Even received Academic Excellence Award by Textile Association of Ahmedabad in 2019. Many more achievements, Dr. Naveen, but I would like to thank you and warm welcome today for this webinar. Now, I will introduce our second speaker also, so later on we can have a direct talk. Our second speaker is Dr. Sunil Sukla. He is a Director General, EDI Gujarat. He is doctorate PhD Psychology and MPhil Psychology. His area of specialization is entrepreneurship, organizational behavior, human resource management, and organizational psychology. This is a all-depth area. He is teaching the course on a corporate entrepreneurship, organizational behavior and human resource management, family business management, entrepreneurial management, and he's also helping various organizations and corporate in a strategic planning and capacity building of employees beside grooming their managers as entrepreneurs and leading to a conducive climate for a corporate entrepreneurship. Currently, the national team leader of a global entrepreneurship monitor, which is GEM India. His total work experience, 23 years in a profession, and he's basically on teaching, training, research, consulting, and many more, part of his exposure. He has research study also on review of entrepreneurship curriculum in Higher Learning Institute held by UGC, University Grants Commission. Under his leadership, the PGDMB program was accredited by National Board of Accreditations. It is also made a beginning in attracting the international students. So that's a great achievement. And he has been leading acclaimed global entrepreneurship monitor, which is GEM India national team from 2012 onwards. He is a core group member of Institute Resource Team to train master trainers of technical and vocational training organization, Government of Iran during 2008 to 2015. Even in charge of EDII offices of Lucknow, Bhubaneswar, Bhopal, besides also Sino-India Entrepreneurship Development and Research Center, Kunming, China. He has a lot of awards, but few of them he won USAV Outstanding Entrepreneurship Program Award 2014. So welcome, Dr. Sunil Shukla. So both of you, warm welcome to all of you. Now, first I will request Dr. Naveen Seth to enlighten us with his input on the topic challenges for academics and training. Over to Dr. Naveen.
Namaskar. Good afternoon. Respected Dr. Paresh Karia. Very first, I congratulate the organizer for selecting such a wonderful topic during this pandemic COVID-19. So, my all expert panelists with us, Dr. Sunil, Dr. Padmin, and all those who join in this virtual webinar. So in this pandemic COVID-19, which affect the all sectors, either it may be education, it may be administration, transportation, agriculture, economy, all sectors are tremendously affected. And today we are discussing about the education sectors. We all know that the education sector, particularly the education in India, we have a diverse education because multiple language, there is it is in a concurrent list, so maybe other administrative problems. But not only that, it is the largest education system in the world. Means we have the 50,000 colleges. We have the 15 lakhs school. Means a very diverse and largest education system. And in this pandemic COVID-19, which affect, means all of a sudden there is a lockdown and school, colleges were closed. So the teachers, most of the teachers, they are not the tech savvy and they are not the familiar with the online teaching. As per one survey, only 3% teachers previously, before pandemic 19, they are aware of all these platforms, e-learning platforms and other things. They don't have any experience of a online teaching. So lot of challenges with us, no doubt. There is a revolution in the education system, and most of the teachers, they learn it and they try to give the online teaching with various platforms, e-learning platforms. But still it is a problem. So there are number of problems, challenges with us in this pandemic 19 and other, today it is a pandemic 19, COVID-19. It may be in future, there may be a crisis due to the climatic change. So today we are with the mask. It may be we have to move with the oxygen bottles, like that may be a different situation. So challenges will be there in future also. So the teachers, they are not familiar with the digital skills, and particularly even in my university, the largest university of the Gujarat, we have the pool of 17,000 teachers with our affiliated colleges total. So a very large pool. So the senior teachers, they are not tech savvy. They are not familiar. They are just familiar with the check, duster, blackboard methods. So they are not adaptable with this new technology. In this, the another challenge is there are some subjects like science, technical subjects, mathematics. It is very difficult to teach by online mode. No doubt it can be taught, but it is not effective way of teaching. Some practicals, hands-on training. So that is also a challenge. No doubt the IIT has developed the virtual lab platform, but still there is a challenge. The biggest challenge is the outreach. At present in India, the 43% students can be reached through internet. So it is difficult to reach the all 320 million students in the present situation. We don't have the sufficient infrastructure, bandwidth problems and other problems. Suppose so many universities, they are not conducting the exam because online platform is not suitable due to this bandwidth and the other thing. No doubt in Gujarat, we have a good facility. So my university has already conducted the exam and declared the result by online mode. We have conducted the exam of 60,000 students. But in all over the India, so many university, they are facing these problems, and it is difficult to have a exam in offline mode due to this pandemic and the SOP of the guideline of the Home Department and the Health Ministry. So that is a major challenge. The outreach is the major problem. Another thing in this situation, so many corporate houses now entered into this education field. So that is also a biggest challenge, means the commercialization of education. Previously, there is a philanthropic, some trust, governments, their infrastructures, but here very less infrastructure is required in this online platforms and other thing. So many corporate house, even my university, we are receiving daily mails and proposal from the so many corporate companies and other companies that we have this, we have developed this, we have developed this. So commercialization is also one of the major challenge. The skill development, that is also a problem. By online mode, virtual lab, everything is there, but whenever there is no hands-on training, you cannot develop the skill. The skill development, and that is the main requirement. That is also a major challenge. So there are some learning platforms, digital platforms, but more open source digital learning solutions are required. So these are the major challenges in my opinion for the academics. And as far as the challenges are concerned, that opportunities are concerned, now the whole boundaries are open in this digital mode and this digital era. So any experts from any corner of the world, we can engage with our programs, we can utilize their expertise. So that is the major opportunity with us. And by this webinar also, we have a webinar in which the experts from the European countries, from USA, we have joined it. And similar, the webinar of the Indian company or a organization or a college or a university, they are joined, means all over the world students are joined. So that is the best opportunity. Even we have conducted the exam, online exam. So students, 143 students from 24 countries, they have appeared their exam from their own country, from their home. Students from 22 states, they appeared their exam. So it's the best opportunity, means in any situation we can cope up. There are, whenever this digital era is developed, there may be opportunity in cyber security, in blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, because more and more area, because artificial intelligence, machine learning, they are attached with the all sectors. Either it may be healthcare, it may be biochemistry, biotechnology, all area. So this, in this digital era, that is the best opportunity. Second thing, recently our government, central government, they have approved the National Education Policy 2020. And in National Education Policy, the first time which is prepared under the team of the Kasturi Ranjan, the well-known scientist, and other experts, not only from India, from outside also. And there are a lot of major changes. So I'm not discussing the everything related with the education policy, but related with this our today's topic. And some important major reforms in this national education policy. At present, the gross enrollment ratio in higher education is 26.3. In other countries, it may be 80, 90%. Even in India, the 49% in Tamil Nadu, 37% in Kerala in higher education. No doubt, Gujarat is far behind. In Gujarat, is it 20.4, 20.4. Means we are below the national average of gross enrollment ratio in higher education. And in this national education policy, target is in 2035, 50% gross enrollment ratio to be achieved in higher education. The multiple exit and multiple entry, it is very common in Western countries, in developed countries, but it is quite new here. Multiple entry means students can have a 1 year and he can go for a sabbatical leave or for employment or for internship, and he can again join. He can move from one state to other state, one institute to other institutes. So that is flexibility is there. The credit transfer. So there is a credit bank, whichever the subject he will complete, the credit will be there, and he will get the graduation as and when he will complete the credits. In India, we have the affiliated type of the system. Suppose in my university, I have 500 colleges affiliated and jurisdiction all over the Gujarat. There is no such affiliation type of the system in Western countries, in developed countries. Here in this national education policy, this system to be phased out within 15 years, all such affiliation system to be discontinued, and all institute to be developed into a multidisciplinary institutes. So either it may be the cluster will form and they will give, means autonomy will be given to the each institutes. So the university is university. There is no difference of private university, deemed to be universities, government university, state university, no such difference. University means multidisciplinary with a minimum of 3,000 students. That is the mentioned in the national education policy. So there may be a research university, there may be a teaching university, and the autonomous institutes. So such type of the grading is mentioned. But the important thing is there are some verticals were created. There is a National Research Foundation, NRF. At present, there are multiple funding agencies, the AICT, the UGC, the DSC, ICMR, number of, and they are giving the funding with a small amount. So no such good research. We know that as far as the suppose Nobel Prize is concerned, after 1930, not a single Indian, he received the Nobel Prize. No doubt some Indians, they received the Nobel Prize. They born here in India, they primarily studied in here, but after he studied there in Western countries and they received the Nobel Prize, or some peace prize, Mother Teresa, Satyarthi. So that type of the, but as far as the science is concerned, the last Nobel Prize in 1930. So there is no such good research here. And this NRF having funding of 20,000 crore rupees means the proposal, very good proposal, which will be scrutinized by the high level experts committee, and that proposal will be sanctioned a good amount and there will be a good research. And definitely you see the even last year's statistics you see of the patent, we are far behind. China has filed 7 lakhs patent, US filed 6.5 lakhs patents, and we filed 53,000 patents. So we are far behind as far as the research is concerned, but this National Research Foundation, it will be useful to have a global research in India. Integration of the vocational and skill-based courses. At present, there is a gap. Only 5% integration here in India, in Indian educational system, the vocational or skill-based courses. No internship in arts, commerce, there is a compartment. So a graduate, he don't know, a commerce graduate don't know how to fill a form or how to give a check and other thing. So that is very common. So integration of the skill-based courses, vocational courses, that is the main recommendation. There may be so many regulatory bodies and it affects the education. There is a Pharmacy Council of India, Medical Council, Agricultural Council, Dental Council, so many councils, number of regulatory body which regulate the education, UGC. So there will be one apex body, apex regulatory body, single body. There is one single granting body. There is one GIC. So there may be a 4 vertical such that is also recommended. One more is the National Education Technology Forum, NETF, because now there may be more and more digital platforms are to be used. So that type of the infrastructure is required. So this technology forum, it will be supporting to develop the digital platforms, digital infrastructures, technological supports, every type of the supports will be given by the National Education Technology Forum. So that I said already that only 43% students are outreached by this digital mode. So by this forum, there is 100% outreach to the students. So these are the major recommendation. I think if my time is over, then you just tell me, because this is a very big way, the new education policy.
Dr. Naveen, I think you can take another 2 minutes. We are.
Yeah. Thank you. So in new education policy, definitely there is a revolution, and it is not a short-term vision. This policy, the fully implemented in 2040, means a long plan and so many recommendations. There may be a task force created by the central government, the task force by the central government and by the university level also. There is a lot of weightage given to the innovation and startup, and really slowly the ecosystem will be developed all over the India, and India will transfer into a knowledge hub. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to interact with all such virtual mode. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Naveen. I think we appreciate enlightening us on challenges and opportunity in academics. We do understand there are issues on adaptability or outreach, the internet not reaching 100%. There are positives also, like we can have, we don't have location barrier right now. We can utilize expertise. So lot of inputs. And now I request Dr. Sunil ji to enlighten us. Over to Dr. Sunil ji.
Thank you, Dr. Karia.
Thank you, sir.
It was a pleasure listening to Professor Naveen Sheth. Very, very informative and enlightening, and also inspiring about future of education in the country going by new education policy. I thank AMA, thank Mr. Nair. I have been an admirer of AMA for all the good work that it has been doing. Padmin Bhai is a very dear friend. So I welcome all those who are present over here. Very quickly, I have a small presentation. With your permission, Dr. Karia, I would like to rush through this presentation.
Yes, Doctor. Welcome.
Talks of the what our Honorable Prime Minister has been raising for quite some time. Ever since first time he came to Office of Prime Minister, he was talking about entrepreneurship and skill gaps and skill development, and a ministry also has been created for skill development and entrepreneurship. First time such an intervention was taken, and people have understood the importance of skill. But what kind of skills and what all needs to be done? What are the challenges? There is another issue that Prime Minister has been raising, that and which is included in our Atmanirbhar Bharat pillar also as one of the 5 pillars, that is demographic dividend. So what is that demographic dividend that the country has? I start my presentation with that. The next slide, yes. We are called that we are a young nation, reflected in the fact that more than 62% population in the working age group of 15 to 59, and more than half of the population is below 25 years. And by the end of the year, it is expected that the average age of our population will be 29 years as against 40 or 46 or 47 in US, Europe and Japan respectively. So by all standard, it is a young nation. Next please. For skills, NSDC has conducted a study which is part of National Policy on Skill Development and Entrepreneurship of Government of India 2015, which indicated that there is a huge skill gap going to be in different sectors. They identified 24 sectors specifically of about 110 million people, skilled manpower, which is going to be required by the industry. There was another survey which said that only 7% of Indian youth qualify for having taken formal or informal skill training. So this is also an observation or a matter of concern, that why is it happening? Public perception on skilling. The moment we call skill, there are certain stereotypes, or it is views that it is one of the last option. It is meant for those who have not been able to progress much through formal system of education, or those who have opted out of the formal system. So it is gaining ground, but as of now, this probably is one of the concerns. Next, please. Also, half of the India's workers will require reskilling, because there are newer opportunities, newer technologies are coming. And if we have adopted Industry 4.0, then by 2022, more than half of these workers will require skilling in some way or the other. And Professor Sheth already took names of certain technologies or certain areas which are required, like artificial intelligence, blockchain, machine learning, business analytics. These are the skills I think there are opportunities for people to acquire, learn, whether it is for entrepreneurship or for working, serving the industry. So far the pandemic is concerned, I think there are good opportunities for education and training. Professor Sheth also said that not many people were aware how to handle classes online. And today we have seen that the teachers all over the country and probably all over the world, the teachers have adopted this very quickly. They have learned, and even school teachers, college teachers, apart from the professionals, they have started teaching online. So that acceptability has increased. There are data that Byju's, for example, it says that 7.5 million new users have been added on its app ever since it started free access to content. And the time spent on app increased from 70 minutes pre-lockdown to 91 minutes during lockdown. And 30% increase in the time spent on education apps. There are opportunities. I think this is a big opportunity. So that also we need to understand. Next, please. When we talk of skills, I think there is an observation that most programs focus primarily on domain-specific skilling for job placement. And that is why the organizations providing skill training, they have linked it with a prerequisite of placement, that at least 70% placement should be their job placement. But invariably, entrepreneurship, which is a major component for setting up enterprises or MSMEs, is missing. So that we need to understand and address. And this skill training or upskilling should include knowledge, skill, and aptitude, with judicious supplements of entrepreneurship. These are the components of good curriculum, whether it is for education or the training. Next, please. Entrepreneurship, what we understand here in the present context, is creating a new enterprise which is based on the skills, and promoted businesses which create employment opportunities and generate wealth. So this is entrepreneurship, that creating an organization is strengthening an organization which is already existed, which provides employment opportunities, generates wealth, and skills also we require. But this ecosystem is needed for economically empowering people to help them on evolving new and existing businesses with innovative models, understanding the resources, skill gaps, or skill availability, or the demand supply gap, and accordingly converting that idea into a viable business proposition. Mapping resources, mobilizing resources, and creating a sustainable business. So the skill training should go hand in hand, not only for entrepreneurship, but also providing skills to those who are to be employed or engaged by these enterprises. So it can be complementary or it can be supplementary. Next, please. Yes. So far EDI is concerned, we face, like any other organization, we face several challenges. No physical classes, that was a challenge. So every year EDI conducts a summer camp. Now it was a huge challenge for us, engaging students online for summer camp. Youngsters, you can understand. Physical library was not there, but online resources and data bases were provided access to the faculty members and research scholars. no physical meeting, mentoring. So again, through video and online, no workshops, seminars. So video conferencing tools came to an end, and no collaborative programs, but we were able to conduct a lot of online event, even a startup event for the students called Empresario, which we could organize online, and a lot of MOUs were signed nationally and internationally on virtual platforms. Next, please. Next, please. Our efforts, we were able to engage the faculty in organizing various webinars on MSMEs and entrepreneurship during this period. Our faculty, I thank our faculty for coming up and contributing in research and articles. About 29 articles they produced during this period, lockdown period itself. And we saw it a good opportunity that let us look at our curriculum and the teaching material. So that review was undertaken. Newer teaching learning material was designed, and all sessions, examinations, summer internship, we were able to complete as per the timeline. And a new session also resumed in August, both for second year and for the first year of our postgraduate programs. So we were able to continue with our commitments and schedule through online. Next, please. Next, please. There are few cases now I would like to just give. There are, we have education programs running at campus, but at the same time, there are various activities all over the country and even outside that we are imparting. So one of the alumni, he came up with the She UV. It's a ultraviolet based band which kills germs, and he got certificate also, and 99.9% it is germicide. This is effective. That is what he says. Next, please. One of our students, Etika Shah, I think this story came in Times of India also and other newspapers, with the help of Atira and the textile that they provided to her, she was able to produce N99 mask and got certification for it. Also face shield and a lot of other products that she came up with, and she is also getting good support from Education Department of Government of Gujarat. Next, please. There are other cases of entrepreneurship and skills happening. Next, please. Our focus has been that how can we identify opportunities locally, and using skills, using the local network, those local resources, how can we train our participants to come up with the products which was required here, the feasible, viable product, all local based here. Next, please. These are some of the examples. Local entrepreneurs made essentials available locally, like cloth mask, hand wash, soap, sanitizer, community kitchen to support government initiatives, PPE, gowns and masks, and women entrepreneurs across projects and locations contributed to COVID fight and created income employment. We were probably one of the few organizations which immediately trained and retrained and oriented our entrepreneurs towards producing this, and we were appreciated for our efforts. Next, please. We are supplying 1 lakh masks to Tamil Nadu government in 6 weeks time, which is going on, and we are able to complete our commitment. And this is 60 women entrepreneurs. They were pioneers in this entire task in Madurai district. Next, please. Next, please. Also, during COVID, we ran vehicles with relief services in collaboration with other local partners, and relief material and various kits also were distributed. HCL, we worked with and distributed essential kit, including dry ration to urban poor families and corona frontline warriors in under one of our projects, which was supported by HCL. And also in Kanyakumari, we distributed daily provisions, vegetables, etc., etc. Yes, next, please. At the same time, because a lot of our projects were going on in different places, but physically it was not possible for our mentors and other resource persons to visit. So our people already they had basic material, but this was converted into video in their vernacular languages, specifically in English, Hindi, Tamil Nadu, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, all these regions wherever we were able to do that, and uploaded it on YouTube and also shared it through WhatsApp. So activities continued during work from home. Even one of the exhibitions that we had proposed, but we were forced not to do this. A virtual exhibition also of handloom artisans was done during recently, last month only, and a sale of 6.14 thousand lakh it was happened during these 2 days of Patola and Tangalian. Immunity booster kit. We have an association called VAD, Women Entrepreneurship Program, that we run through Accenture, and there are about 2,000 women entrepreneurs and SSG members. So they produce this immunity booster kit and again distributed. Next, please. This is what it is. So statutory compliance as packaging, marketing. So they were helped, and somehow our objective was that to keep their motivation, morale high, and provide them a gainful engagement so that they are able to positively contribute. And at the end, we feel that yes, it has affected very badly, but at the same time given newer opportunities and newer confidence to those who were very, very successful. And we can also say that we are working for entrepreneurs, and they are responding to the requirements, they are proactive, they are dynamic, and they were able to customize their product to suit the requirements of the situation. This is what I have to say, and I would like to stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil. I think it was very impressive. Especially your cases are really a great example, right from ultraviolet, N95, PPE kit, even women entrepreneurship, plenty. It's very impressive. And it gives some answer to our webinar today. Okay. So both the speaker, big thank you. And now, I request the participants, if you have any question, you can put it to the chat box, or if you want to speak up, you can unmute and ask a question, right? So, and by the time the participant raise the question, let me start with a question to both of you. The simple question, what are the opportunity to all of us to supply the skilled manpower to MSME? Because today's MSME challenge is a skilled manpower. Like example, I'll give you, I'm in the elevator industry, right? But I don't get a good engineer, and I have to invest a lot in training them. So my question to both of you, which you can throw the light, what are the opportunity to supply the skilled manpower to the companies or MSME? So any
first.
Yeah, please. Dr. Naveen sir,
Naveen sir, you are muted. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, in this new education policy and after this COVID-19 also, there is lot of reforms will be there at the university level and the various boards and other things. As far as the examination is concerned, there is a reforms. At present, we are evaluating the students only by their remember. Those who remember good, he will get the good marks, good grade. But their analytical skill, their other application, understanding, that part is not we are touching. So here in after post-COVID and this in a new education policy, there is a reforms and there is a comprehensive and continuous evaluation of students. And skill is one of the major parts in there. Internship at all level. It is not only for the technical students and other things. So that there will not be any boundary, and internship is compulsory, not only at the college level, even in the school also the internship is introduced. So definitely the skill manpower will be available in due course of time after the full implementation of this. So definitely I think it will solve the problem of the MSME.
Thank you, Dr. Naveen. Sunilji, your point of view?
Sir, this is a very, very difficult question, very challenging. Dr. Naveen Sheth is running a very big reputed organization, and he would agree with me that one of the critical challenges for head of the institution is identify the right kind of people. Right kind of people, retain them and get work done. That's very, very difficult. On one hand, we say that a lot of unemployment is there, but at the same time, it is equally true that we do not get the kind of people we require, whether it is for educational institutions or it is for MSME. The same situation exists everywhere. And as Dr. Seth has already answered, that if skilled people are there, there would be acceptability, there would be requirement. Any owner, manager, any managing director, chairman would be willing to recruit people, those who meet their criteria. But I would say that it is not just the skill which is important. It is a attitude which is more important. I remember one of the articles couple of years back, it appeared in Financial Times of the United States, and the author had interviewed few CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Just wanted to know that what are the reasons when you make hiring decisions, and what are the reasons when you fire someone, and giving several examples, anecdotes. At the end, what he had summarized, that they hire for technical skills and fire for behavioral failures. So I think we need to keep this in mind, that today's youth, they need to keep their motivation high, attitude positive, remain productive, and I'm sure that they will excel, they will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil. I fully agree. I think this is what is the real truth, what you said. So now coming to the chat box, the first question from Mr. Anupam Dey. His questions are, teachers are facing challenges in taking classes and exam in this year. What will be the best way to cope up with this problem, as online classes are not possible everywhere? So I think Dr. Naveen, first I will request, because you will have you and Dr. Sunil, anybody can answer.
So he's right actually that the outreach is not 100% possible. As far as the school is concerned, particularly the students, those who are studying in the municipal schools, so they are from a very poor family and outreach is not there. So definitely they are facing the problem. So only 43% outreach is there. But definitely now the government, India is also on a war foot. They working for this digitalization at all level, and this technological forum will support the infrastructure of this and the new free resources are available. So definitely it will reach. No doubt government has done very good work. There are 100 channels for the educations by the MHRD. And even I see that if my one tribal family is working at my home, and his son is studying in the municipal school, but he's sitting in front of the television, and Girnar channel is there, and all classes are going on very well. So definitely government is trying, and it will be possible in due course of time by online mode. But internet is not the actual platform for because it is the major one is for the entertainment. So there may be some other problems also with the internet, but we will reach to the remote places also in short time.
Thank you, Dr. Naveen. Sunilji, you want to add anything? I think Professor Naveen has already answered it very well. I have nothing to add. It takes time for the technology to evolve, and we have seen in last 3-4 months a lot of platforms have evolved, and also the bandwidth is being strengthened. So soon I think we will be in a better position. Even I'll add to both of you. You rightly said, but I'll tell you this: all this thing happened all of a sudden. Yes. We are not prepared for a digital part of life, right? And with almost no preparation, we are, I think, in a good progress. That's right. Yes, sure. And you rightly said that government is also focused. Even the corporate companies are also focused, like Reliance Jio, Airtel. All these people want to give their bandwidth
at a very cheapest, cost. Although India is the cheapest on a digital side, right? So I think Anupamji, the time will come. It's work in progress, according to me.
Right.
Any other question? Okay, so maybe there are no question. I have right to ask a question. So, common question to both of you. The simple question: What do you think is a key skill that is expected to be the most sought after? Going forward. What do you think the skill set which will be very very in demand, either from an academics point of view or a entrepreneur point of view? So this is an open question to both of you.
Sunilji.
See, some of the sectors I have mentioned, Professor Sheth has mentioned the technical skills. So for technical skills concerned, since I am a student of entrepreneurship, I teach entrepreneurship, I would say that being different from the rest of the crowd will put you in committee of those who are performers. And one of the key skills in that regard is entrepreneurial skill of being proactive, being confident, being persuasive, being inquisitive. Also, the ability to look at problems differently, solve those problems, take challenges, that I think is going to create differentiators. So far workplaces are concerned. See, so far knowledge is concerned, knowledge is in plenty. If I do not have any information, I can go to Google or other platforms, find out that information. But ability to think, ability to conceptualize, ability and skills to relate with other colleagues, teams, leadership, these are the skills in my view which are going to be very, very important and in demand. People may give you second opportunity if you do not have that required skill. You may be given time to develop that. But if you cannot get along well with people, if you do not display other these soft skills, probably things would be difficult. So my take would be on the soft skills pertaining to workplace behavior and the leadership.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil. Naviji, your point of view.
Yeah. So particularly the artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, blockchain technology, all these are the emerging technology. But unfortunately, suppose in Gujarat, there are more than 130 engineering colleges. But as far as this emerging technology is concerned, no universities providing this, imparting this course particularly. So that is, I think these are the major area, new area in future. Okay.
Perfect. No, I think I endorse, I think what you rightly said, Dr. Sunilji and Dr. Naveen. Even I'll just add my corporate perspective, almost 30 years in the corporate, and my observation apart from what you said, being in board with L&T or KSB Pump, mainly engineering company, I am on that board, Otis Elevator. What is one of my observation is that, people, shy away on a hard work. The reason I will tell you, like if you have to install elevator or escalator, right? And you are working with my company as a supervisor, you have to work hard. It is not that soft skill there, but execution sometimes.
That's it.
Wherein I find, sometimes my complaint level goes high. But end of the day, I think I look forward that our youth and our middle-aged manager, they should also work hard on an execution skill. Because
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Absolutely right. This execution skills. Yes.
Absolutely. So now one question, there is a question that practicals are also not possible in this situation and theory is incomplete without practical. What will be the impact the student quality of knowledge will be? I think open to both of you, because he is right in question that there is only theory, no practical, right? So will there be an impact on the quality?
Yeah, 100% it will impact the quality. So everything on digital mode is not possible. So blended mode is required. No doubt it is a present situation, some social distancing and others SOP of the ministry is there. But only and only digital mode is not sufficient. Even a virtual lab is not sufficient. Hands-on training, exposure to the students with industry and other, that is most requirement. And uh, I think only digital mode is not the solution. The blended mode is the best solution,
Agree.
in my opinion. Yeah.
So,
I agree, yes, that only digital mode may not be sufficient. We may have simulations which we are using. There are several capstone based simulation exercises are there. That's fine. But please understand that this is an exceptional situation. And what people say that this kind of pandemic has occurred after nearly 100 years. So the entire emphasis should be on keeping ourselves safe, secure, our families safe. That is more important than learning the theory or the practice. That can wait for some time. If 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it's not going to make much of the difference in the entire career of 50, 60 years or 70 years. And now government has also started opening various, during unlock phases, opening various sectors. So I'm sure that sooner or later, it's a question of few weeks that such opportunities are also provided for practical. But until then, whatever we can do through referring to books or consulting mentors online or on simulations, that we need to do. But more importantly, keep ourselves safe and secure.
thank you, sir. Dr. Sunil, one question which is in my recent discussion. Morbi ceramic business, right? So I was interacting with a couple of entrepreneurs there, and after listening to them, I realized they are very ambitious, which is good. Every entrepreneur is ambitious, especially in MSME side, right? But the biggest problem they were sharing with me today is a cash flow. He said, sir, we have a good plans. We can do a good turnover, but our challenge is the cash flow, account receivable. They have done a good business, right? So from a EDII point of view, if I ask you a support to train them on account receivable, what is point of view? Because this is where that pain point.
It is a pain point, and you are an entrepreneur, sir. You understand. Government also understands, and that is why they have come up with credit link subsidy scheme, equity funding scheme also as a part of Atmanirbhar, or earlier introduced package. And I think things are changing, but it is easier said than done. Of course, they are going to face difficulty, whether it is individual entrepreneur or in a cluster like Morbi. But I'm an optimist, and I believe that the packages that have been announced for different sectors, and if they're able to meet that requirement and complete those formalities, probably they will be able to mobilize some support and address this problem. Things are, let us believe that things are improving towards betterment. And I read in the newspaper that this credit link subsidy benefit, I think total it was for 3 lakh crore, and about 1.5 lakh crore was already claimed by entrepreneurs, and about 15 days, 20 days back. So it means it is happening in reality. I do not know how many of them are from Morbi, but certainly this is one of the options available to them. There are other funding mechanisms as well. So they should look at that.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil. So I think, Dr. Naveen, one hard question to you. I know you will try your best to give me your thoughts, but simple question, should we start a school and college now? Because a lot of people are asking me, my neighbor also, sir, હવે શાળા સ્કૂલો ચાલુ કરવી જોઈએ. So what is your opinion?
So actually, we are also receiving the phones from the students also that we are not happy with the, no doubt that online classes are going on, but we are not happy. We want to attend the classes. But due to this SOP, we cannot allow them. But slowly, I think after 21st September, they have allowed us for the practicals in very small groups. So we will be start. But I think We have to follow the instruction, because as far as the health is concerned, there may be some problems created in some other countries. The news is there. So they have started the schools and lot of problems is created. So I think it is better to follow the SOP of the health ministry.
I know this is a tough question to me also sometimes. People ask me, should we start? And I think your answer is right. Let us follow the SOP of government. And what will government take decision is in a major interest, right? Majority interest. So, no, great. Radhika, any other question before we conclude?
Yeah, sir. We can, if you permit, we can. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Team AMA and Nair sir, I would like to thank Sunil Shukla sir and Naveen Shetji and Dr. Paresh Karya sir. And thank you all participants for attending the program.